Welcome students. Let's continue with our chemistry class. Last class we have discussed about elements, compounds and mixture. And today we will continue with that. The first I will discuss with you the difference between compound and mixture considering an example of iron and sulfur. A mixture is formed when the components are mixed mechanically or physically. So a mixture of iron and sulfur is formed when iron and sulfur mix together just by your hand. If you will mix, then what will happen? A mixture of iron and sulfur is formed. But when this mixture, iron and sulfur, is mixed and heated, then what will happen? It will form iron sulfide, which is a compound. You can prove it that iron, when mixed with the sulfur, that is a mixture, but when a mixture of iron and sulfur, it is heated, then it is iron sulfide. It is a compound. Okay. First thing is that iron and sulfur, in case of a mixture, they are mixed together in any proportion you mix, it will form and it will form a mixture, and you have to mix it just by your hand. Physically it will form mixture. But the compound of iron and sulfur, that is iron sulfide, is formed when a mixture of iron and sulfur is heated. It means it is prepared chemically. Okay. Second thing is that the most important thing, that in mixture of iron and sulfur, the components retain their property. Means the property, the original property of iron and sulfur is present within the mixture of iron and sulfur. That is why what will happen, when I will keep a magnet on the mixture of iron and sulfur, then iron will be attracted towards the magnet. So iron particles will cling on the surface of the magnet. But if the same magnet I will keep it on the iron sulfide, which is obtained by heating iron and sulfur, then you will observe that nothing, no impact is or no effect is obtained. You will not see any kind of change. The iron sulfide will remain as it is. And second thing is that you will take the little bit mixture in the test tube and add little bit carbon disulfide solution. You will observe that the sulfur particles will dissolve in carbon disulfide, the liquid carbon disulfide, but iron particles will remain as residue. But when I will add this carbon disulfide to the iron sulfide, you will observe no change. It remains as it is. It means you are neither getting the property of iron nor getting the property of sulfur in case of iron sulfide. But the property of iron, because it is attracted by the magnet, and the property of the sulfur means it will dissolve in sulfur when, it will dissolve in carbon disulfide when it is added to the carbon disulfide. So that proves that the components retain their property in the mixture, and components cannot retain their property or original property in case of a compound. Even we can identify chemically iron sulfide compound and the mixture of iron and sulfur. For that, what we will do, if in a test tube we will take the iron sulfide and little bit hydrochloric acid is added. When this is added, you will observe, you will notice that a gas evolved out with the smell of rotten egg. You know the smell of rotten egg of which gas? Hydrogen sulfide. It means hydrogen sulfide gas is evolved out. So in case of a compound, when HCl is added, then what will happen? It will give FeCl2 plus hydrogen sulfide gas is evolved out. So in case of a compound, you will get the gas H2S with the smell of rotten egg. But when it is a mixture and HCl is added, then you will get FeCl2 and you will get a gas which is colorless and odorless. Odorless, colorless gas is obtained, and if I will bring a matchstick near it, then it will burn with a pale blue flame and pop sound. So it means the gas is hydrogen. So in case of iron sulfide, that is a compound, the gas evolved is H2S when it is treated with dilute HCl. And when this dilute HCl is added to a mixture of iron and sulfur, then what will happen? You will get the gas hydrogen, which will burn with a pop sound and pale blue flame. So in both the case, you are getting different gas. In one case, you are getting a gas with a smell of rotten egg, that is hydrogen sulfide. It means that is iron sulfide compound. And another case, when you are getting the hydrogen gas, it means that is what? That is a mixture of iron and sulfur, because we know whenever a metal is treated with any acid, then it will liberate hydrogen gas, and whenever a metallic sulfide is treated with acid, dilute hydrochloric acid, then it will liberate hydrogen sulfide gas. So this is all about how you will identify whether the sample provided to you is the mixture of iron or sulfur, or it is a compound of iron and sulfur, that is iron sulfide. So that is all about difference between the compound and mixture with one example. Now today the most important part of this chapter even we will discuss, that is the separation of mixture. A very good topic, that is the separation of mixture. Now we will discuss. Okay. Separation of mixture means a mixture, consists of number of components, and we want to separate out. Suppose when sugar mixed with the water or salt mixed with the water, then I want to separate out salt from the water or sugar from the water. Or maybe I mixed iron with the copper, then I can separate out iron from the mixture of iron and copper with the help of magnet. So there are various means for the separation of different type of mixtures. So for the separation of mixture, first we have to think about the physical state of the mixture. Physical state of constituents within the mixture. If it is a mixture of solid, suppose the solid component mixed with the solid component, then the method is different. Or maybe a solid component mixed with the liquid, then the method is different. Or liquid component is there, then the method is different. It means to carry out the separation of the mixture, first we have to think that what is the physical state of the constituents of the mixture, and second we have to know about the one or more physical property of the constituent. Okay, for example, that sand is mixed with the water, then which property I will use to separate sand with the water? Actually, sand is insoluble in water, first thing. And second thing is that we know that sand is heavier and it will settle down in the water. Even same thing is if I will take any other insoluble substance. So what method I have to use? Sedimentation decantation method. So here which property I am utilizing? That insolubility of the sand, means the solid particle is insoluble in the water, and second we are utilizing here that sand is heavier than water, so it will settle down. So these two property, means density as well as insolubility, that solubility of the substance we are utilizing in separation of sand with water. Now we will discuss about what are the various methods for the separation of solid mixture. So first we have to think about that the mixture is given in which components are in which physical state. Solid mixture. For example, the mixture of iron with copper, or maybe it is sodium chloride with ammonium chloride, or maybe it is chalk powder with the carbon, like that solid component is there. Then we can use either sublimation, magnetic separation method and solvent extraction method. First we will discuss about the sublimation method. In detail about sublimation method. Sublimation method, what happens? Out of the two component, one component can easily be converted into the
gas
gaseous state
state
directly from solid to gaseous state. Means
One
one is sublimate while other is not a sublimate.
Then we can use the method that is the sublimation. Here
a diagram is given representing the separation of solid-solid mixture, that is a mixture of ammonium chloride and sodium chloride.
Ammonium chloride and sodium chloride, where ammonium chloride is a sublimate while sodium chloride is not a sublimate. Then we will use the method sublimation. So here what to do first? First the mixture is placed in a china dish and heated by a low flame.
Then an inverted dry funnel is placed over the china dish and its stem is closed with cotton wool. The sublimate component of the mixture, that is the ammonium chloride, sublimes and its vapor condenses on the side of the funnel to form fine powder. The fine powder of ammonium chloride is scraped from the side of the funnel. After that, whatever the residue left behind is not a sublimable component, because that is the sodium chloride, and that is not sublimable component. So in this way what happens? The ammonium chloride is separated out from sodium chloride, because ammonium chloride here converted into the gaseous state, while sodium chloride remains as the residue within the watch glass. So to separate a sublimable substance from a non-sublimable substance by the method that is sublimation. Next is I will discuss magnetic separation method. Magnetic separation method, where what will happen among two components. One component is attracted by the magnet because it is magnetic in nature, while another component is non-magnetic. So for example, a mixture of iron and copper. So here what will happen? You know that iron is attracted by the magnet because it is magnetic in nature, while copper is a non-magnetic substance which will not be attracted by the magnet. So the mixture is taken in the watch glass, and over that what will happen? I will keep the magnet. When I will keep the magnet, then what will happen? The iron particles will be attracted towards the magnet. It will cling on the magnetic surface, while the copper particles will remain within the dish, within the watch glass. So in this way, by using a magnetic and non-magnetic component of the mixture can be separated out. Next is your solvent extraction method. Okay. In solvent extraction method, the principle here it is used is what will happen? Out of the two components, only one is soluble in water, while other is insoluble in a given substance. Sorry. Not only water, we can take any solvent. So here the two components are there, and what will happen? Suppose the two components are there, X and Y. And X is soluble in water, Y is insoluble in water. For example, suppose it is a mixture of sand and common salt. A mixture of sand and common salt. And I want to separate sand from the common salt. So what I will do? I will add water to the common salt sand mixture. Then common salt will dissolve in that, while sand will not dissolve in it. And after that, when I will filter, then your this common salt will remain as the filtrate come out in the form of the filtrate, and when this filtrate is evaporated, then it will give you the common salt, while the sand will remain as the residue on the top of the filter paper. So in this way, what happens? The two components out of which one is soluble in the given solvent can be separated out using solvent extraction method. Next one is that in the same way we can separate suppose I have a mixture of common salt and marble pieces, marble powder, that is calcium carbonate. Common salt or chalk powder is there. So we can separate out by same method, that is the solvent extraction method. Why? Because sodium chloride is soluble in water, while the calcium carbonate, that is marble powder, is not soluble in water. It is insoluble in water. So we will take the mixture in a beaker and then add to it water. Sodium chloride will dissolve in it, while calcium carbonate, that is a marble, will remain as insoluble component. So insoluble component of the mixture, then we will filter it. When we will filter it, then the insoluble component of the mixture is left on the filter paper, while the soluble component, that is the common salt, collects as the filtrate. Now we can get back the common salt from the filtrate by evaporation. When the filtrate is evaporated, then water will evaporate out, and what you will get back? Common salt. So in this way, a mixture of common salt and marble powder can be separated out by the method that is known as solvent extraction method. Now we will discuss about the separation of solid-liquid mixture. Solid-liquid mixture, maybe the solid is soluble or maybe the solid is insoluble. For example, sand added to the water, then it is insoluble, while salt or sugar added to the water, it is soluble. So for insoluble and soluble substance, what happens? The process is different. If it is insoluble, then we can use the method either filtration or sedimentation decantation. Filtration or sedimentation decantation. When the solid substance is insoluble, maybe it is lighter or heavier, no matter, then we can use filtration method. But if it is heavier, then we can use only the method. This sedimentation method is applicable only if the solid particles are heavier and insoluble. But if the particles may be heavier, may be lighter, but it insoluble, then we can use filtration method. In filtration method, filtration method, you can see here the diagram. Here the two components are there, X and Y. Where what happens here, Y is the liquid component and X is the solid but insoluble. So it is filtered through the mixture is filtered through the filter paper, which is kept on a funnel. Okay. When it is filtered, then what will happen? The insoluble residue will remain on the filter paper, while the liquid component filter it out. So liquid component filter it out, so that is separated, and the solid component remains as the residue on the filter paper. So in this way we can separate the insoluble component from the liquid by the method of filtration. You know, in Delhi, whenever we prepare the tea, at that time the tea particles are separated with the help of the sieve by the method of filtration. Even sand can be separated, but it's better to separate the sand because it is heavier. So we can use the method sedimentation decantation. Where what will happen? Since the sand is insoluble in water first thing, and it is heavier. So the mixture is kept for the time. You can see in the diagram that the mixture is kept undisturbed for a time being. Then what will happen? Sand particles are heavier, so it will settle down within the liquid. After settling down, what we will do? We will decant it. The liquid which is above the sand particle, that is known as the supernatant liquid. Now when decantation is done, then the supernatant liquid slowly, so that the particles will not be disturbed. When it is transformed to the another container, then supernatant liquid will be transformed to the another container, while the solid particles, that is the sand particles, will remain within the first container because it is settled down.
And this method is known as sedimentation decantation. And this is used for insoluble heavier component. If the solid is insoluble and heavier in the liquid, then this sedimentation decantation method is used.
Now next is that the separation of solid and liquid component, where solid is soluble in the liquid component. When the solid is soluble in the liquid component,
At that time we use either the method evaporation or distillation. Evaporation or distillation. Here what happens in evaporation method, you can see the diagram. The salt solution is taken in the watch glass or a china dish and then heated on a sand bath. When it is heated, then water evaporates out, and what is left behind, that is the salt particle. So salt particles left behind and water evaporate out. So it means we can separate the soluble solid from the liquid component by evaporation method. Even the soluble solid can be separated from the liquid component by distillation method. In distillation method, this is the diagram related to the distillation method. This is a figure which represents how to carry out the distillation method. In distillation method, you can see here a flask is there, round bottom flask. Within that, what is taken? The mixture. That is, suppose a salt and water mixture is there, where X represents the salt and Y represents water. Okay. And when this is heated, can you see here a burner is there, and through that it is heated, then what will happen? We know that only the pure water converted at the boiling point converted into the vapor or the steam form, gaseous state. But the soluble salt which will remain within the as the residue within the round bottom flask. Now whatever the water is converted into the gaseous state, that is passed through the condenser. You can see the condenser. When it is passed through the condenser, then what will happen? The water condenses from gaseous state to the liquid state. Means you will get the liquid water, and that is collected in the receiver. You can see a conical flask which is acting as a receiver. So where water is collected in the liquid pipe form. So here what happens? This is known as the distillation method, where what will happen? One out of the two components, only one will be converted into the gaseous state, and then it is condensed back into the liquid pipe form, while other component is still within the flask, round bottom flask. So in this way, the salt and the water is separated out by distillation method. What is the difference between the evaporation and distillation? In case of evaporation, what happens? The mixture was salt and water, and the water is lost in the atmosphere. You can't get back the water because it is lost in the atmosphere. Only you are getting the solid residue, the solid part. But in case of distillation, what happens? You are getting both the solid and the liquid component. Solid within the flask and the liquid component condense, and you can get it back. So this is the most important difference between the evaporation and your distillation. In case of evaporation, you are getting back, you will get back only one component, solid component. Liquid component is lost in the atmosphere. But in case of distillation process, you will get back both the component, that is the solid as well as the liquid component. So in this way, we can separate the solid, whether it is solid, and the liquid component, whether it is soluble or insoluble. Next, we will discuss about the mixture of liquid and liquid component. When there is a mixture of liquid and liquid, like oil and water, or maybe alcohol and water. Now, whenever two liquid components are there, then two possibilities is there. One is that maybe both the liquid components mix with each other, And when they will mix with each other, two liquid components, we call it miscible mixture. And when the two liquid components will not mix with each other, we call it immiscible. For example, oil and water, that is immiscible because they will not mix with each other how much you try to mix. But alcohol and water, that is what? That is a miscible mixture because alcohol will mix with the water particle completely. You can't identify where is alcohol and where is the water particle. So that is the miscible one. Now if it is an immiscible one, then you can use the method, and that is known as by using separating funnel. We can separate immiscible mixture. That is a mixture of oil and water with the help of separating funnel. You can see the diagram of the separating funnel. Here what will happen? A funnel is there and it is provided with a tap which you can open it and close it as and when required. So the mixture, first the tap is closed and the separating funnel is clamped in a vertical position in an iron stand. After that, the immiscible liquid mixture, that is a mixture of oil and water. Suppose oil is the kerosene oil. So kerosene oil and water is poured into the separating funnel. Then the mixture is allowed to stand for half an hour or little bit more. Then the immiscible component of the mixture separated out into two distinct layers. You will see that in case of kerosene oil and water mixture, the water is on the lower layer and kerosene, since it is lighter, so it will form the upper layer. Okay. After that, what we will do, we will open the tap. When we will open the tap, and below that I will keep a conical flask. You can notice here in the diagram in the second figure, a conical flask is there. When the tap is opened, then what will happen? Water will trickle down slowly, come out. We will open the tap so that the water will trickle down slowly and collected in the flask. As soon as we will observe that the total water is collected in the flask, again we will close the tap. Then what you will observe? You can see in the that water is collected in the flask while your kerosene oil is still in the separating funnel. So in this way, the immiscible liquids can be separated out with the help of separating funnel. Where in this funnel always you will get the lighter component at the top, form the top layer, while the heavier component will form the bottom layer. So in this way we can separate out by using the separating funnel. We can separate out immiscible liquids. So now we will discuss about how to separate two miscible liquids. Suppose a mixture of alcohol and water is there. Then how we can separate the mixture of alcohol and water. Here the boiling point of water and boiling point of alcohol is different. One is a low boiling liquid while other is a little higher boiling point. So in case of alcohol and water, alcohol is a low boiling liquid and while water is a high boiling liquid. But both are miscible. Then what to do? The mixture of alcohol and water is taken in distillation flask A. And it is attached with a fractionating column. You can see in the diagram that the mixture is taken in the flask A, and then the system is connected with or attached with fractionating column. The flask is then carefully heated as shown in the figure. Then it is heated. Then what will happen? The mixture will evaporate. Means both will try to evaporate, that is water and the alcohol. But what happens? The boiling point of water is more, so what will happen? It will evaporate little bit but condense back and fall down within the flask. And alcohol, which has the lower boiling liquid, then it is passed through the condenser
and collected in the receiver. And higher boiling point liquid, that is the water, remain within the flask A. So in this way, water and alcohol separated out. Alcohol you will get it in B, and water you will get it in A. Water high boiling liquid and alcohol low boiling liquid. So on the basis of their boiling point difference, the two liquids can be, two miscible liquids can be separated out. Next is the chromatography method. The chromatography method is applicable only for the complex mixture. Complex mixture, for example, ink which contain 2-3 components or more components within one liquid. 3-4 solid components are there which are present in all liquid component. So the method used is the chromatography method. In chromatography method, what happens? That is, in chromatography method, you can see in the diagram that a filter paper is taken. Take a filter paper and then place a ink spot. Place the ink spot containing different solid constituents, a dye or ink, on the filter paper. Now this filter paper is hung with its lower end completely dipped in the solvent. Solvent can be a water or can be alcohol. And then leave it for a time being. After some time, you will observe that the solvent flows over the ink spot, and you will get number 2-3 points. Whatever the number of components are there, 4 components, then you will get 4 spots on the filter paper. 5 components, you will get 5 spots on the filter paper. So all these spots are due to the different components present within the mixture. And this is based on the principle adsorbing capacity. Adsorbing capacity of a substance on another substance. So this is used. Now what is adsorption? Adsorption is a surface phenomenon where what will happen? Liquid component or a gaseous component is adsorbed on the solid surface, and that is what adsorption. It is adsorbed only on the surface, not inside. Then that one is adsorption. Like when I will dip the chalk in the ink, you have observed that and you have observed that ink is adsorbed only on the surface of the chalk, because when you will break the chalk, you will see that the center part it is not blue in color if blue ink is there, while the outer surface you will get the blue ink stain. So that is what that is due to adsorption. So adsorption is anything is absorbed only on the surface. And here in chromatography, the adsorption method is used. The adsorption of the component is